Hey everybody, it's Mike Sullivan with Born to Shine. Today we have an awesome guest. His name is Shawn Nix, and he is the superintendent over at Chaffee Schools in Chaffee, Missouri. And Shawn, thanks so much for making time with us today. Really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
We were kind of chatting a little bit before, doing the podcast, and I love your story. Are you open to share that again of how your journey was, what your journey
Sure.
was like to become a superintendent?
Absolutely. I'm the oldest of three boys. My mom's a teacher. So it's kind of the family business. We're actually all in education. My mom is finishing up. She's actually in her 51st year. I don't know if I'll make it that long. She's going to finally retire. She's taught for about 47 of those and been a para or a sub, but she's going to hang it up at the end of the year. So, like I said, uh, been around education my whole life. Started out as a fourth grade teacher in Mountain Grove, Missouri, and did that for 5 years. Got married, had a year in between jobs. It was kind of a tough job market at the time. And then after that year, moved back to my wife's hometown, which is here in Chaffee, Missouri, in Southeast Missouri. And started out that job. I was a half day para for a little girl with a cochlear implant. And then I taught special ed for half a day and transitioned kind of in the middle of that year into administration. There had been a change, and they asked me to step in kind of and lead the special ed department. And so I did that for half a day and taught for half a day and did that for the rest of the year. And then the rest of that 12-year tenure here at Chaffee, the first time around, I would morphed into special ed administrator, elementary assistant principal. During that time, got my specialist and doctorate degrees, and then went to Oak Ridge, which is just a little bit north of Cape Girardeau, and was elementary principal there for 5 years. And then went to the district is called Scott County R4, but everybody around here it's Kelly. Worked there for 2 years as elementary principal, and opportunity came up. The superintendency had opened back here in Chaffee, so I got to was fortunate enough to be hired last year. So I'm finished up my first year of superintendent here at Chaffee. Feel very fortunate to do that. Here with my two boys. My son graduated last Thursday, and then I have a sophomore. So it's nice to be home and be back here with my kids. So
That's awesome. Now, two kiddos, and one graduated high school or one
yep,
graduated. Okay.
graduated high school last Thursday night, and so he's getting ready to head to university and gonna go into education. So he's actually gonna wind up being the fourth generation educators in the family out of both sides of my wife's and I family. So he's
Wow.
headed to school to be a high school social studies history teacher and coach football. So I'm pretty excited.
Wow, that's amazing. That's what,
Yeah.
four generations. And kudos to your mom. Wow, 50, well, 41 years? Oh,
51 total in education, about 47 as a classroom teacher. So I told her the other day when she was up here for our graduation stuff with my son, I I I'm in year 25. I don't know if I'll make it to 51, but I'll give it a good try.
that's amazing. Wow, your mom's awesome. That's
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah.
And it's really awesome that now her grandson, your son, is going into the same profession. So that's really cool.
Yeah, we always laugh. It's my both of my brothers are in education. One made the transition into administration this year. They both have been ag teachers, and both of their wives are teachers as well. So my wife is kind of the odd man. My wife and my dad are kind of the odd men out because dad was a farmer and my wife is a physical therapist. So everybody else when we get together we talk school, and they're like, oh, okay, we just need to get away because they just talk school all the time. But yeah, we definitely love it.
That's awesome. Well, you know what? I mean, everybody needs food, so thank goodness for your dad being a farmer, and everyone
Yep.
needs, if we get banged up with sports or something happens, and then your wife can help. So
There you go. That's right.
oh, yeah. Well, the next question I think is so interesting to me and our listeners. It's always really cool to hear because we all go through challenges, ups and downs in life, right? Peaks and valleys. And
Absolutely.
for me, when I was, K-12, even younger, K-5 for me is when the wheels fell off the bus. And I was bullied to the point of my anxiety and depression that I had a predisposition for really blew up. And I had ADD and OCD. I truly had A through Z. I was struggling and didn't know what it was, didn't know how to get through it, didn't know how to get any tools. And it was challenging. So I'm just curious for our listeners if you had any challenges when you were growing up K-12.
I think yes. When you're growing up, or I was a kid of the '80s, and and graduated in the early '90s. So I think when you're going through it at that time, you just look at it like, well, it's just part of growing up. And then, as you get older, you can reflect. And I think as we learn more, you see now there were different times. Definitely being that teacher's kid, you're going to get pegged sometimes as a pet, or you get the advantages and do those things. So trying to have to learn how to work through those. And I wasn't always the star athlete or those things. So trying to figure out how to weave through those things. And then I'm going to say, even as an adult, I had to I went through some, even as a principal, learning how to deal with expectations of parents. And then being that person that's got to say no sometimes, and going that direction, learning that it's okay to admit that you need help and to ask for that help. And it doesn't matter what stage of life you're in. And I want people to know, and don't be ashamed to ask. As a student, as an adult, it doesn't matter what stage of life you're in. If you need help, ask for it, because I did. And it helped, and it helped me learn to cope and to do things, because you always think, oh no, I've got it, I can do this on my own, I can do this. And don't get pegged into that corner.
Yeah, that's great wisdom, Sean, and great advice because sometimes we do, think, I got it. I can, especially as a superintendent or a principal or even a counselor or the school psychologist, and they'll think, well, I'm kind of expected to have all the answers. But the truth
Right.
is, no one has all the answers.
Absolutely.
None of us. And we all need each other. We all need help. Everyone has a coach. Best, golfer in the world, Tiger Woods, has a coach. Best surfer, Kelly Slater. What does he have? He has a coach. The
Sure.
best business people in the world, they have coaches.
That's
So,
right.
my whole divine purpose is to destigmatize mental health and that it's something's wrong because we all struggle to varying degrees and we all need a coach.
Well, and if you have a cold, or if you don't feel well on the physical side, there's no worry with going to a doctor to help with that. And
Yeah,
you know,
no shame in
yeah,
seeing your doctor.
absolutely none at all. So I think you when I finally, honestly, it was a time I sat down with my wife, and we just said, and she's like, go to the doctor, get you know see what they can do to help you. And it's been very, very, very helpful.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
so great to
and just
hear
learn
that.
how to do things. You bet. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's good. So if you're a superintendent watching this, or if you're an assistant soup director of curriculum, a teacher, principal, whatever, whatever role you are in education and supporting our kiddos, and if it's overwhelming or just too much, that's okay. It's
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely. Yeah.
And just get in some tools. It helps us all. It's helped me. It's helped Sean. It's such and just like Sean said, there's no shame in going to get help physically. You break your arm, you go to the doctor. Well, you're
Right.
struggling internally. Well, let's get a coach. Let's go get a counselor. Let's go get some tools. So
Correct.
that's awesome. And then the next question is, what are y'all doing within your school and your district to support your kids with their mental health and emotional well being?
So one of the things, you hate to think that something good may have come out of a pandemic,
Mm,
but however, I feel like one of the things that we have been fortunate to do. So in education, we got what's called ESSER money. That's kind of the federal funding and some of the things. And we have been able to bring in a mental health counselor
great.
to work with our kiddos, and that's really taken the burden off of our school counselors, so they're able to do what they need to do and work in conjunction. So they're there every day, and our mental health counselor comes in 2 or 3 days a week. She's also a community-based counselor, so she has not only the capability of working with our kids, but she is our bridge to our community-based resources. And we are rural. I mean, we're on the very north end of the Boot Hill of Missouri. So that's where Mississippi River, further south you get into the Delta. Some of our resources they're very minimal
Mm,
just because of the region we live in. We are about 15-20 miles from Cape Girardeau, which would be the kind of the regional hub for our area. So we're more fortunate than those that even live further south or north of us, that kind of live in between Memphis or St. Louis. So we do have access to some, but it goes to availability of just getting kids even 15 minutes away, to get them to those resources. So to have her be able to come in, and then if we need to, we have our Zoom links and those things that those are the things that I feel like are the positive things that came out of the pandemic, was that the way that we can get our kids services, regardless if it's education, if it's mental health, if it's what it is. We all have a computer. We all have Chromebooks. We all have the capability now of linking up with each other. So we have that capability now. So those are some of the things we're doing, and we've been able to use our funding for. My hope is that pushing forward, once the COVID money is over with, that we continue, and the state continues to make it a priority and continue to help fund some of those things for us here in the districts, especially in the outlying areas away from the big metropolitan areas of St. Louis and Kansas City and Columbia and Springfield. So
yeah, amen to that, Shawn, and God bless you for what you're doing, man, and that you're putting that at the forefront. And a lot of superintendents feel the same way that you do, Shawn, that really needs to be up front and center, because if kids aren't feeling well internally, they're not going to do well scholastically. They're not going to have the mindset or the attention span, or they're going to be so focused on the struggle versus, hey, I feel good with me, I feel safe, I feel good, okay, so what's on the agenda for today?
correct.
That's it's so it's kind of
Absolutely.
a 1 plus 1. So it's
Yep,
great that
for
you're
sure.
doing that. And if there's any final thoughts that you may have, or something on your heart, Shawn, that you want to share, because if I missed a question that you're thinking, I wish Michael would have asked that, if there's any parting wisdom, would just the floor is all yours, Shawn.
Oh, just thanks for having me on, and it was nice to connect, and to share a story. I hope it helps someone. If they have questions, or they feel free to contact me. I'm easy to find. All my email and contact information is on our school website, so you can go out there. I definitely don't have all the answers, but I think the one thing I've learned throughout my journey is connections mean so much, and just one small connection can lead you to great things. And I wouldn't have made it as far as I have came, without my family connections, without my school family connections, and school family by those I work with. And it is school is a gigantic family, and we're all here for good. And you know, I guess the one thing is thanks for highlighting things to make people understand that it's okay to reach out and ask for help and do those things so they can be the most productive person they can possibly be and go out and make society better.
Oh, Dr. Shawn Nix, thank you so much, bro. I
Yeah,
love it.
you're
That's a
welcome.
great story.